WWE faces roster uproar if Vince McMahon returns. Plus, major WWE boardroom changes are expected. And will Vince McMahon return to creative? We'll talk about it. It's all in the wrestling news right now. I don't know whether you're one that believes in signs.
Signs?
From the universe.
Oh, okay. Not just like road signs then.
No.
Do believe in them. That's the law.
As I was on my way into work this morning, I was listening to Ian Lee on Jack FM, and he was playing REM, It's the End of the World.
Oh, no. Oh, dear.
Read into that what you will. You'll know by now, Vince McMahon is pushing to return to WWE. Real strong arm tactics as well. We talked about it in the video from last night. And there's been backstage reaction, not of the most positive kind, has there, Andrew?
No, so this is from Fightful Select. Fightful has already heard from dozens within WWE who are all flawed by the announcement. Nobody in any department, talent, production, creative, or general staff that we heard back from was briefed, tipped off, or given any information before or immediately after the news broke. One concerned higher up told Fightful, "I can't count how many interviews I've read or people I talked to outside the company that said Vince liked me, but I got fired. He didn't like you. He didn't like any of them. He fired them, or they wouldn't have been fired during a pandemic."
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a common thing, as has been said there. A recently signed talent also told Fightful, "I would be blown away if he returned to creative." One talent also said, "Finding out online is scary, and it's Vince, so I don't believe a word he says. I hope current management and everything doesn't change, but only time will tell." They noted as well they have a lot of respect for Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Another talent said they believe there will be roster uproar if Vince McMahon returns to head up creative. It's not massively positive behind the scenes on this.
No, not really. I think when we sort of heard before that Vince was out of the company and Triple H was heading up creative and everything as well, there seemed to be a bit more of a relaxed nature backstage and a lot more sort of positive comments coming from the backstage, from the talents and the people there. And it feels as though they've sort of really settled into that now as well. Like, it definitely feels like sort of a new WWE in some sort of senses. You know, I think a lot of excitement was back for us as fans and also for the talents working there as well. And yeah, I can understand why there would be roster uproar if Vince returns to head up creative for sure.
And whilst we were enjoying this sort of new era of WWE, Vince McMahon was retired. He was out having dinner with a young lady at one point and was sort of sitting by and watching the allegations set in the sun. They weren't setting though. Vince McMahon, in case you missed it, just before Christmas, said that he'd received some bad advice to retire and was keen to make his way back in, to the point where he penned a letter to the board of directors just before Christmas, didn't he?
He did, saying WWE is entering a critical juncture in its history with the upcoming media right negotiations coinciding with increased industry-wide demand for quality content and live events, and with more companies seeking to own the intellectual property on their platforms. The only way for WWE to fully capitalize on this opportunity is for me to return as executive chairman and support the management team in the negotiations for our media rights, and to combine that with a review of strategic alternatives. My return will allow WWE, as well as any transaction counterparties, to engage in these processes, knowing they will have the support of the controlling shareholder.
Now, it's not just Vince McMahon looking to come back. He's also pushing for the return of former co-presidents of the company, Michelle Williams and George Barrios, who he relieved from their duties a few years ago. This is becoming more and more like an entire season of Succession as it goes on. This would mean two board members giving up their seats, causing a massive shift to the WWE board of directors in doing so, kind of taking them back several years as well.
Yeah.
Never heard too many, I heard mixed things about George Barrios and Michelle Williams. The fact that Vince McMahon was the one that booted them out says that maybe he wasn't too sure on them either. Things have changed. The board has requested, following that letter from Vince McMahon, for Vince not to return while the investigations into the allegations are ongoing. And he has responded, Vince McMahon, by saying that if he is not reinstated to the board as the majority shareholder, he will block any plans for media rights acquisition. This very much feels like a really strong bit of language here, but for all intents and purposes, it kind of feels like he's holding WWE hostage with something like that, doesn't it?
Just being pardon the language, just being a twat for twat's sake.
Can we do the twat W on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Do that one. Oh, I said the twat W. I mean the T word. Now, what you may have noticed, different to last time Vince McMahon's rumoured return was ruminated, we saw WWE stock go up last night. The shares went up by about 10%. And I was like, wait, that's strange. But here's why, right?
Okay.
When WWE looked like it was close to selling, shares went up. When there was a lot of talk about it, we see the shares go up. When Vince McMahon was rumoured to return and sort of take the reins of creative once more, shares went down because it meant, with all this going on, it's less likely for the company to sell. But now, Vince McMahon has been very clever with his wording here. He is coming back to necessitate the sale of the company, essentially, and its media rights. So therefore, the shares have gone up because now he's talking about selling the company.
Yeah.
So the shares have. So that is the reason why there is this fluctuation in shares. Great if you're a shareholder with WWE. It's a mixed bag though, because it may mean that Vince McMahon takes more control, and where that control ends, I think, is a real point of concern for people. Is he coming in just to facilitate the sale and then ride off into the sunset to sit on his boat, the Sexy Beast, or whatever it was called?
What?
A boat called Sexy Beast. That's back amazing. In the day. Or will he get amongst it with the writing of the shows once more? What's the latest on that, Andrew?
So Fightful Select saying about this, another top WWE talent wasn't only given any information, but also asked what the possibilities of a return to creative would be. The two sources Fightful heard back from within the creative department had not learned of any adjustments to their duties and said that they were sent some notes for SmackDown shortly before the Wall Street Journal's Vince McMahon story.
Now, what those notes are, we don't know. Is it like, oh, Hit Row are going to lose again? Or is it deeper than that? Is it right, Vince is going to pop in and have a word? We don't know at this point.
No.
A lot of the talent are hoping that tonight they'll have some of the mystery will be lifted, as Andrew said there, via our friends at Fightful Select. A lot of this has been found out third hand, second and third hand from WWE talent, which is never a good thing when you hear about your own company via news websites.
No, that's got to feel really demoralizing as well, right? Like your morale has got to go down when you hear something of this scale and you hear about it from the internet.
No, it's awful.
It is.
It's
really
awful. So as the day goes on, no doubt we'll have more on this moving beast of a story by SmackDown tonight. I will imagine that there'll be further words said. I assume that they will probably make further announcements after the closing of the stock market.
Yeah. Around
5 o'clock local time.
Yes.
So if you are a UK content creator of wrestling, I hope you've got a quiet Friday night. It's the middle of January and we're all broke. Of course you have.
Yes.
We'll have more on this as we get it throughout the day, of course, at cultaholic.com. Geese.
Love you, bye.